You know, when we were in school, we all learned there are 7 continents. But what if I told you that map is, well, it's missing something? A huge something. A hidden world, submerged just beneath the waves. And look, I'm not talking about some legend like Atlantis or anything like that. This is the real deal. A scientifically confirmed landmass, a lost continent that's been hiding from us for centuries. Yep, its name is Zealandia. It's the 8th continent you've probably never heard of, and honestly, its story is one of the coolest geological mysteries out there. So, for decades, right, geologists have basically been detectives piecing together clues from deep in the Pacific, building the case for this submerged world. Let's take a look at what they found. But okay, before we just slap the continent label on Zealandia, we gotta ask a pretty basic question. It's not just about being a big chunk of land above water. Turns out there's a pretty specific geological checklist. All right, let's get into it. What are the rules of the Continent Club? There's basically a 4-point test that any landmass has to pass to join. Okay, so here's the breakdown. Basically, it's got to be high up from the deep ocean floor, it needs the right mix of rocks, its crust has to be thick but not too dense, and, it has to be seriously huge. Seems straightforward, right? All right, this is the fun part. Let's put Zealandia to the test. Let's see if it can pass the test. Does it make the cut? First question, size. You can't be a little island chain and call yourself a continent. You gotta be massive. So, how does Zealandia measure up? Whoa, 4.9 million square kilometers? That's not just big, that is enormous. I mean, think about it. That's more than half the size of Australia. So, yeah, check one. It's definitely big enough. Okay, next up, the geology. See, continents are made of what we call continental crust, which is different from the stuff on the deep seabed. Think of it like a chunk of light, buoyant granite floating on a sea of dense, heavy basalt. And this right here is where the case for Zealandia gets airtight. Its crust, thicker and less dense than the ocean floor around it. Check. The rocks they've pulled up are exactly what you'd expect, all sorts of different silica-rich rocks. Another check. And even though it's underwater, the whole thing is clearly elevated, like a massive plateau rising from the abyss. So yeah, it ticks every single box. And hey, it's not just me saying this. The Geological Society of America basically said, look, calling Zealandia a continent isn't some new, radical idea. It's just calling it what it is. It's just good science. Okay, so this brings us to the elephant in the room, right? If this thing is a continent, a massive one at that, why isn't it on every classroom globe next to Africa and Asia? Why the big secret? Well, here's why. A whopping 94% of it is underwater. The only bits you and I can actually see sticking out of the ocean are the countries we know as New Zealand and New Caledonia. So what gives? I mean, a whole continent doesn't just sink, right? To figure this out, we have to rewind the clock way, way back. Our story starts with this absolute beast of a supercontinent called Gondwana. Imagine this: Antarctica, South America, Africa, Australia, all smashed together. And right there, snuggled up next to Australia and Antarctica, was Zealandia. Okay, so about 83 million years ago, these incredible tectonic forces started to literally tear Gondwana apart. And as Zealandia got ripped away from Australia and Antarctica, its crust got stretched out. Think of it like pulling a piece of taffy. It got super, super thin. And because it was so thin, it just wasn't buoyant enough anymore. It couldn't float as high. So over millions of years, it just slowly sank beneath the waves, leaving only its highest mountaintops, what we now call New Zealand, peeking out. So, okay, we found a lost continent. That's awesome, for sure. But so what? Why does this actually matter beyond being a cool piece of trivia? Well, for scientists, this is huge. Zealandia is like the perfect natural laboratory. By studying it, we can get a much better picture of the incredible forces that rip continents apart. It completely changes how we see our planet. And it's this amazing reminder that the map on your wall, it's not permanent. It's just a snapshot in time on a planet that's constantly changing. You know, what really gets me about all this is that here we are, sending rovers to Mars and telescopes to the edge of the universe, and yet we're still making discoveries of this scale, an entire continent, right here on our own planet. The age of exploration is definitely not over. It really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, if a whole continent could be hiding right under our noses this whole time, What other incredible secrets is our planet still keeping?